Beware of spoilers, you have been warned.
Season 3. I think Kendall just killed Logan Roy. Logan is losing his grasp of control, dealing with the law, fighting with Kendall, waiting for his other kids to stab him in the back. His mental and physical health begins to deteriorate. Meanwhile, Kendall is riding the tsunami that is his ego, and it really starts to drown out all of his valid motives as the situation continues. I also want to bring up Shiv and Roman again because while Kendall was trying to pitch to his siblings to join his side, they both said no, and I think they were each dependent on each other's answer because, as I will continue to say, Roman and Shiv have been on the same wavelength from day one. They will make a decision based on what the other one thinks. If one says no, the other will say no, and I firmly believe this. But it also kind of reflects the overwhelming power of Logan Roy, like the level of manipulation and control that he still has on Shiv and Roman at this point. Although that eventually breaks, like, Logan will always be that winning side.
My hunch is that you're going to get fucked. Because I've seen you get fucked a lot. And I've never seen Logan get fucked once.
Tom being in the midst of the storm is the very reason why he wins in Season 4. He's actually on the same trajectory as Kendall, but while Kendall's Season 2 finale portrayal leads him to losing everything in the Season 3 finale, Tom's Season 3 finale portrayal leads to him winning everything in the Season 4 finale. The duality and comparison and contrast between those two is actually very interesting that I don't know if it gets brought up a lot. Now, something I want to point out about Tom and Shiv is when it comes to Shiv, she craves validation. You know, she's got daddy issues. She wants validation from Logan, from Tom, from her brothers, from the world. But she doesn't get it. She usually never gets it. But when the whole world is against her, there's always at least Tom, right? Because Tom is who he is. She never expects him to falter. So when he is eventually pushed over to the edge and begins to get loose of her grip, that's when she starts to get upset and tries to bully him back in line, which only makes it worse. There are multiple instances in the last couple of seasons when Shiv talked about her CEO position. Tom would always ask, where would I fit in? And Shiv always gave the wishy-washy answer, oh, we'll figure it out. Like, that was not a safety net enough for him to just blindly trust her moving forward, and he finally put his foot down, like in the season finale. His ambition will always be stronger than his loyalty. Loyalty to Shiv has been fading all through season 3. So, in the season 3 finale, while it was the first time Roman acted against his father, it was also the first time Tom acted against his wife. Because Tom is smart and knows how to recognize the winning side. Applaud Matthew McFadden right now. In episode 6, after Tom's conversation with Kendall, Tom sees Greg being celebrated for suing Greenpeace. He returns to the room where his disloyal wife helps her father choose the next president or whatever, because corrupt media. Matthew's face as he walks down the hallway, like, I can visibly see his thoughts. Is this family worth it? The camera follows him from the front and then switches to a shot from his back. Significant because Logan in the theme sequence is always shown from behind. One of the last shots of Tom ever in the series is the same angle. Some may refer to this as the CEO money shot, I guess.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes! 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 Yes!
That was such an iconic scene. His reaction and then the kiss, like, they knew what they were doing. Once again, Nero and Spores are everyone's favorite part of the show. That scene was wild, by the way.
I'd castrate you and marry you in a heartbeat.
But it's so funny to me how Tom trusts Greg just time and time and again, where Greg has actually betrayed Tom multiple times, even if it's indirectly, like indirect betrayal. Like, Greg has proven to not be trustworthy, but there's something about Greg that Tom just keeps, like, he keeps bringing him back in. And I don't know why, but I love it. I think Tom trusts Greg more than his own life, the lesser of two evils, I suppose. And while Tom has also been drifting away from Shiv, he's been getting closer and closer to Greg. And this does lead to Tom's offer in the end.
What am I gonna do with a soul anyways? Souls are boring. Boo, souls!
At this moment, Greg realizes that despite throwing him around as an underling, Tom has never really done anything that bad to Greg. He was willing to take Greg's crimes for free, even though Greg's alliance with Kendall kinda got him in that position. Meanwhile, Kendall was ready to throw him to the wolves once Greg switched sides. And speaking of dynamic duos, I'm gonna say it again. I absolutely love Shiv and Roman. Like, even when Roman is like, you suck, that's still his sister. She's a bitch, but that's his bitch. And that's her homie Romy. They have always been the closest of the siblings. Banter is their love language, and during instances when they had to make a choice, I've noticed both come to decisions based on what the other decides, as I've mentioned earlier. While Kendall and Roman want to be like their dad, I always felt like Shiv was trying to be better than their dad. Both parents, actually. She tried to get into politics instead of the company, and when she was actually in the company, she was always the one coming up with ideas that went against Logan's. She wanted to prove that she could be a better CEO with her decisions. Then Caroline says that she should have never had kids. And then suddenly Shiv tells Tom that she wants to have a baby, like as if she's prepared to prove that she could be a better mom than her own. I know Greg is the comedic relief of choice, but dude, Connor, like, why is he here? He makes me laugh the most. We already know these people to be disconnected from reality, but Connor is just in his own realm entirely.
Connor Roy was interested in politics at a very young age.
Some other episodes that were a huge highlight this season: the chaotic shareholder meeting episode, Kendall's birthday episode. I mean, this is where Mattson enters the chat, by the way.
When will your father die?
The way he just asked that question really set the tone for what the character was bringing to the table. Also, like I said before, wedding episodes bring all the drama. That's where all the content is at. The siblings march forward and confront Logan, unified though surely conditionally, as it's the Roys we're talking about. This was a very well-written, well-acted, intense scene. I mean, every scene with Logan is intense. My heart especially broke for Roman. Kendall went in already stuck in a lose-lose situation anyways. Shiv just wanted her money and power, but Roman just wanted to be accepted by his dad. Out of the three, Roman has been the closest the whole time, just in terms of screen time alone. Logan has had more scenes with Roman than any of the other kids. Roman has been working along the high table since day one. Roman was the closest to receiving Logan's respect, and he felt like he was being portrayed by Logan just as much as he felt that Logan was betraying him. And mutual betrayal is a common theme in this family. And for the first time, Roman did not listen to Dad. Tom's warning gave Logan the chance to reach Caroline first to make sure that the kids had no leverage against him. Between this and offering to go to jail, Tom has finally solidified high respect from Logan, and thus we are now seeing the beginning of the end. Even if he was skirting around the idea, I think it was always his intention to see one of the kids as his successor, literally the title of the show. But over the seasons, he's just been disappointed by them time and time again. It's honestly so easy for him to entertain this buyout deal when his original plan was under such a large label of incompetence.
Make your own fucking pile.
Entitlement is over. The kids are cut out. Suddenly, being in Logan's good graces no longer matters when their own fortune and status are at risk. This is a great assessment on the priorities of entitled rich children who were always given everything, who now have to figure out how to survive in the real world. The real world, not Logan's world. And that will be the final season of Succession. The Thor trilogy. There are other worlds than these. The MCU becomes the MCU, and Tom Hiddleston is the MCU anchor being. We got Josh Dallas in the chat, and he is replaced by Zachary Levi in the sequels since Josh had to be charming in Once Upon a Time, and I ain't even mad. We get Idris Elba as Heimdall, though a very minor role here in the first movie. The first time we see Thor, he's in his stupid Gryffindor era, though once he's exiled, the Thor in a new world gimmick is pretty funny.
Another!
Like, dude gets hit by a car twice, and I laugh both times, every time. Jane, Darcy, Selvig, I appreciate them enough. Natalie and Stellan are goats. And woo! Son of Cole is here! Loki is the anchor being of the MCU. Coulson is the anchor being of Phase 1. Hashtag Coulson lives. He makes rewatching Phase 1 so magical. Sitwell and Hawkeye enter the chat. I'm always too excited to see Sitwell, but I'm gonna have to explain when I talk about him after watching Captain America Winter Soldier. But Hawkeye, I mean, it's Jeremy Renner. I mean, always excited to see Jeremy Renner. He is the glue to the Avengers, bro. It's hard to imagine the Avengers without him. We only see a little bit of who he is, but he does not hold back in the following Avengers movie. I think Thor's infiltration of the S.H.I.E.L.D. base was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Thor was just super cool and made it to Mjolnir with style, but then he couldn't even pick it up, and that was such an important moment for the character and an essential part to his origin story. Thor may be the prince that was promised, but Loki is the king we don't deserve. It's so interesting how Thor never really takes the throne and will just be a hero for all time, and then Loki becomes the king of time spaghetti and will sit upon the multiverse throne for all eternity. It hits different knowing all of this, seeing where these two started over a decade before. Alright, the sequel, The Dark World. Glad we can get the action to Asgard instead of just on Earth. And glad Jane could see Asgard in all of its glory before Ragnarok. This is probably a huge highlight of the movie that I don't appreciate enough, because when you think about it, we barely see Thor and Asgard as compared to the rest of the universe. I love the scene with Loki and Frigga. It gives insight to their relationship. We know Loki hated Odin, but he learned all of his magic from his mom, so it would make sense for him to have a closer relationship with her. R.I.P. Though I wish we just saw a little more of her powers in her final moments. Like, she's a legit witch, you know. Like, she could have probably done a little more than a simple illusion. But dang, that sad Loki variant also makes me sad. A mutual sadness. The funeral scene was beautiful. It was like the lantern scene in Tangled, but like death. I liked it.
Hey, you want to have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism? God bless America.
Chris Evans has the word cameo under his list of skills in his resume, I'll tell you that. Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston are so great to watch. They have the chaotic sibling dynamic, and I'm so glad to see more of it when we get to Ragnarok.
Why was Thor crying?
Literally can't watch Loki's death anymore without laughing. Between Ragnarok and Deadpool and Wolverine, there's no weight to it anymore, and it's just humorous knowing it meant nothing. It's like watching the scene recreated in the play in the next movie, and then movie ends with Loki on the throne. Like, gotta love it. Actually, every time Loki dies, I always forget there's like a whole half hour left of the movie. Loki literally steals the show, so when he dies and the credits don't roll, I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like, every time I just forget about the whole plot and villain and stuff. Another artifact, another Infinity Stone. Credit scene includes a cameo from the Collector. The Guardians are coming. This is the first name drop of the Infinity Stones.
We're in the end game now.
Phase 2 is just so much build-up for Phase 3, and that includes the Age of Ultron. I always feel like I have to speed through Phase 2 despite Winter Soldier and Guardians being peak content. Phase 2 is just a bridge from Phase 1 and 3. But yeah, overall, Dark World, honestly, you could literally just skip this movie, not gonna lie. And that brings us to Ragnarok. Taika Waititi did not miss. I honestly didn't like the direction of Thor in the past. I feel like in the first movie, when he was a man out of place in New Mexico, that's who Thor was. He was hilarious, but also a god and saved the world like one. They've tried to make Thor too serious since I think Ragnarok brought the balance back. Love and Thunder ruined it by trying to make Thor too funny, and that ended up not working. But with Ragnarok, yeah, this was a masterpiece.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Loki is the god of mischief, but we've only seen him in his devious villain era. Loki is in full chaos mode and I am thriving. I would have loved, like, a short or something with Loki Odin as king. The play, by the way, genius. Odin is dead, but before we can grieve, Kate Blanchett enters the chat. As I said, Ragnarok is hilarious, but Hela literally comes in, crushes Mjolnir with her bare hand, murders Thor's friends that nobody knew the names of, then slaughters the Asgardian army all in like 10 minutes. It had to take the literal end of the world to defeat her.
No, I know, but he can't.
This is something we low-key forget as we enjoy our side quest in Sakaar. Speaking of Sakaar,
I pardon you.
Oh, thank you.
You're officially pardoned from life.
Oh my God!
Jeff Goldblum enters the chat as the Grand Master. I gotta refresh on the lore of this dude. I know he's part of a group of ancient beings, and these ancient beings consisted of like the last airbenders of all of their respective races. I know the Collector is one as well, and I'm not sure if any others have been introduced since Endgame, but I wish they didn't waste time on the obsolete Eternals and did something with those guys because their lore is pretty expansive and there is a lot of material to work with.
Piss off, Ghost!
Sakaar is such a weird place. Like, it's the end of space and time. It just seems like it's in its own pocket dimension away from everything, and this makes it a safe haven of all things greatly chaotic. This Loki really should have stayed behind. Sakaar could have been his happy ending. Valkyrie is here. Badass. I always thought she was cool. But Korg!
The revolution has begun!
Yes! Praise be! One of my favorite characters for real.
Yes! We know each other! He's a friend from work!
And yes, we finally found out what happened to Hulk after the events of Age of Ultron. What a journey Banner has been on. And of course, we all love a callback of the greatest moment in the Avengers.
Puny God.
Overall, best Thor movie.
Your savior is here!
It was a crazy and hilarious action-adventure with chaos and death, and is the last hurrah before Infinity War. Rip Asgard.
As long as the foundations are still strong, we can rebuild this place.
This movie is several years old already, and I still quote it almost daily. I'm pretty sure I'd still consider this in my top 5 Infinity Saga movies. I just love it so much, and I've always had fun with it. Finally getting around to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Remake was an insanely good game with great gameplay, amazing graphics, beautiful music, and did such a great job retelling but also expanding upon an already established narrative. And all of those hours of gameplay and story only took place in Midgard. Now, it's time to take all of these polished elements into the rest of the world. Midgard was like a demo of what the rest of the remake series would be. Rebirth is a polished continuation of everything Remake was and more. It's such a massive game. It was released in 2 discs. Like, how often does that happen these days? It's crazy how Remake was considered such a great game for 4 years and now it's overshadowed by Rebirth. That isn't to say Remake wasn't amazing, because it was. I remember, given how large Remake was already, I was honestly surprised when it ended right when they left the city. Remake was only a small look on what the trilogy could be. Now, I absolutely loved how detailed Midgard was. The scale was insane to comprehend, but Rebirth outdid itself for sure in terms of scale, detail, and variety of locations. For me, the most recognizable places were the military parade, the Golden Saucer, Barrett's hometown, and segments of Nibelheim. I'll admit, where the game stops, we've reached the part of the original game that I don't remember much about. Like, after the death, I don't remember much about how the rest of the game goes. The Golden Saucer was literally my favorite part in the OG, so I was happy to see it in all of its glory here. We got chocobos, y'all. There are also those Segway wheelie things, like, OMG. I've seen the memes. Tifa is still a queen. Barrett is back. Yuffie is out of the DLC and into the main plot. Everyone is here. We even meet Sid and Vincent. Like next game, it'll basically be a full party. You know, Cat Sith and Red 13 were always ridiculous, but you were able to kind of ignore it back in the PS1 era. But you see they're ridiculous in all their glory here in Rebirth. Like, when Red was riding a chocobo? What? Now, Zack and Aerith is where Nomura is placing his convoluted BS. I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. I know how confusing his stories can get. I understand a new timeline is supposed to be established somehow. It's not really, like, explained ever. We just get moments with Zack in an alternate reality, but I'm not sure how this is gonna work in the overall story. Also, Aerith. Her death in the original was both devastating yet iconic. Rebirth kind of took away the impact of her death a bit. They try to make it a bit. Between the other timeline, Cloud's delusion, and the actual events of her death, all being seen all at once, and I'm just confused. I know the other timeline is happening, but the events of the original are still happening too, and Aerith's death did not have that same heavy weight as it once did. Too much is going on, and we don't even know if she'll stay dead anymore. This also left the ending too open-ended, like, not in the same way Remake did. Like, I wasn't really able to be immersed in the ending, and I have no idea what to look forward to anymore. Well, that's 2 down and 1 to go, if I'm not mistaken. Wonder how this great remake trilogy will end. We have seen both Final Fantasy titles since the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, so as a Kingdom Hearts fan, I'm convinced we won't see Kingdom Hearts 4 until the whole remake trilogy is out, so I hope we see that third title soon. Star of the Week, Sandra Bullock. While Sandra was born in America to an American father, she spent a lot of her childhood in Germany and Austria being immersed in the German culture with her German mother. With her mother being an opera singer, Sandra had the opportunity to study ballet and singing with different theater companies, even participating in some productions. Sandra and the family returned to America, where Sandra had a normal American high school experience. She performed in school theater productions and would go on to pursue acting in college. After graduating college, she moved to Manhattan, where she hoped to start her acting career. The late 80s, early 90s, Sandra was starting her career going from student films, independent films, to her supporting role in the film Demolition Man. I'm gonna say her big break, however, was the Keanu Reeves classic Speed. Blockbuster hit, put Sandra's name on the map. Her career over the next few years really started to pick up as she performed in films like The Net, Hope Floats, The Vanishing, Practical Magic, The Thing Called Love, Wrestling Ernest Hemingway, Prince of Egypt, and A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson, Matthew McConaughey, and Kevin Spacey. She quickly proved to be the best with her Golden Globe nominated performance in the Christmas rom-com While You Were Sleeping. Rolling into the next century, Sandra Bullock was definitely a well-established actress. She starred in the iconic film Miss Congeniality, receiving a Golden Globe nomination for the film. She was a lead role in the Academy Award-winning film Crash, with the cast also receiving a SAG Award for Best Ensemble. Other films from this decade include Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, 28 Days, 2 Weeks Notice, Murder by Numbers, The Lake House, and Infamous. Sandra appeared next to Ryan Reynolds and Betty White in one of my favorite rom-coms, The Proposal, receiving a Golden Globe nomination for the film. Sandra also won a Screen Actors Guild, Golden Globe, and her first and only Oscar win for her role in the film The Blind Side, which was an inspirational movie until legal disputes sort of tarnished the reputation later on, but it's still a good movie. With her rise in the 90s and her prime in the 2000s, Sandra's career has slowed down. Some of her later films have included Our Brand is Crisis, Ocean's 8, Bird Box, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Sandra starred alongside Melissa McCarthy in the film The Heat, one of my favorite comedies. She was also in Alfonso Cuarón's film Gravity, earning Oscar, SAG, BAFTA, and Golden Globe nominations, and also kind of becoming a meme in 2013's internet culture, if I remember correctly. Her latest films over the last several years include The Lost City, The Unforgivable, and a cameo voiceover performance in Bullet Train. Sandra Bullock has been a constant figure in movies through my life. She was amongst names like Johnny Depp, George Clooney, and Brad Pitt in terms of actors everyone knew of somehow. From Miss Congeniality to The Proposal to The Heat to Bird Box, she's just a face that I like to see, and I know she's going to give a solid performance in any movie that she does.
That's it for this week. Be sure to follow this podcast and please follow my Twitter and blog at Hollis Films to follow my journey experiencing the entertainment industry's greatest stories. And let me know what you've been fangirling over this week. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you again next week.